Hi, we're in the garden again today, and I have brought over a happy gardener from New Hampshire, where it's not gardening time. It's not 80 degrees, I'm sure, in New Hampshire today.
No, there is ice on my car this morning still.
But anyway, it is that time of year when the seasons change. And, sometimes people get restless from seasonal changes and they don't know why. And then some people, we go through all kinds of changes in our lives. But I found that with astrology, and I know it's confusing. You see all those planets and all those dials and all those lines. But Dorothy and I have discussed this before, but I want to let her give you a chance to tell you about getting your own chart done, and then how to learn how to pin certain planets on your chart and follow them. And then all of a sudden astrology becomes completely demystified to some extent because it's about you.
Yeah, exactly. Because a lot of people are very much, hi, everybody. A lot of people are very much aware of the astrology. And when we listen to astrology, on YouTube and things like that, like we all do, we are seriously just talking about what's going on in the sky. And you'll see in my daily forecast, because I do that regularly on my channel. And I tell us that we're only talking about just the matching of the planets. We're not talking about houses and ascendants and midheavens and things like that, because everybody lives in a different place. And all of these things that go on astrologically aren't going to impact everybody the same, again, depending on where it is in your astrology chart. Now, it's hard for people to understand that at first, but it will take a little practice. You'll want to learn. I mean, we have I teach a beginner astrology class a couple times a year. I start a new one. And the thing is like, you've got to be patient with yourself if you really want to learn, what that chart looks like for you. Again, because when we have things happening in the sky, and we're going to talk about some other stuff here today too, eclipses, Mercury retrograde, stuff like that. We can still only give you the generalized energy of what's going on. And then you'll see astrologers out there saying, okay, so this reading's for Taurus and this reading's for Gemini. And all they're doing is generically sticking that on the horizon of the chart and where all the planets. So it's still general. It's still a general forecast, even if it's meant for your zodiac sun sign. So, but to learn how to do that and to learn where it is for yourself, it does take time. You're not going to learn it in a 4-week class. You're not. It's just you need to learn it through a basic process, 1 step, 2 steps, like learning a language, because it is a language. I was learning you can even speak a language, but can you read it? If you've ever done anything with foreign languages, I mean, some people can speak it, but they still can't read the words. And so this is why, to do that with astrology, it does take time. It certainly isn't a quick fix. I've had students come into classes and just in 4 weeks think that they can read a chart, because there's people out there that sell classes that say that you can, and it's not true. It's not true. You need to take time to learn, to process, to assimilate, and then you'll be able to add more when you start listening to astrologers on YouTube or wherever you listen to your astrologers.
That's true. And I think it kind of helps. So if you have your own chart and like I said, it's just all because it's about you, or maybe it's about someone you care about and you want to follow their chart, because sometimes it's easier to see what's happening to someone aside from yourself.
That's so true. It's so easy to see what's going on with family members. And that's what a lot of students do. And that's how we learn. After a couple months, we start pulling in family member charts and start practicing with those. And so then and you learn through that, because again, reading our own charts, reading your own chart is good. I can't
read my own cards. So I don't even go there. I can read my kids' charts and I can't read their cards, but
interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. I know when I'm doing for my own stuff, that's why I started the daily forecast. I can read my own astrology. That's fine. But when I say, all right, Spirit, what do you want me to know? Or if I draw a card, it doesn't resonate with me. But when I'm doing it like for the audience, and all of a sudden, for like the first 2 months I was doing, I started mid-January. The first 2 months I was doing is like, oh, that's a great message for me. And I just hear the words coming through my mouth, and it's just like, it's not, it's me, but it's not me. And it's just like the message for me. So I was like, even though I was doing it for a lot of other people, on YouTube, it was just, it was great for my own messaging. Because you're right, it's not always easy to divinate for yourself. I can do the astrology because I've been doing that for over 30 years, but
yeah. So, and Dorothy does have this really cool thing called Astrodice, and I actually have a set of them, but they're here somewhere, and I don't know where. But yeah, those things, and they are really cool if you want to just kind of get a running knowledge. Did that come with a little booklet to describe it? Does. Okay.
And I've seen these, by the way, I want people to know, I've seen these on Amazon for like $50. Don't dare pay $50 for these. That's somebody ripping you off. Yeah. I paid $10 for them. You might just need to look a little longer, but they might be up to 20 now, but never 50. Yeah. They're just 12-sided dice. This one has the 12 houses. You roll them, and it's just fantastic. The zodiac signs, I don't know if you can see them or not. It's there we are. You learn your zodiac signs, and then the planets. And there's only 10 planets, and we use the lunar north and south node. So that makes 12. So you roll them, and it helps you with your astrological sentencing. It's fantastic. It's fantastic. It's so much fun. And
it is fun. And it's just a quick glimpse. It's like doing a 3-card reading in tarot, and it kind of gets it out of that chart form that a friend of mine who like me failed geometry once and just don't want to see those lines.
I know. But, if you're having a hard time, I'm going to share my screen if I can. Yes, I can. If you're having a hard time with, let me see if I can get there. There's a chart. If you're having a hard time, this is just a moment in time, understanding all these lines in here, then especially if you order charts through astro.com or whatever, make sure you get one with the grid, because the grid over here it tells you the exact same thing that's going on in the middle. And so that can be really confusing. Yeah.
And I can tell you for a fact that's very helpful, because then you can immediately see a square and you don't have to think about it.
Yeah. Yeah. I know that's been something with some of my students lately. It's been quite interesting because they're learning about aspects, and aspects are these lines and what's going on over here. It's all of those things, because they're both the same. And people are saying, well, I'm looking for a square in the middle, and they're looking for this shape, which is the shape that represents a 90-degree angle. This is a 90-degree angle. I should probably have a different color up. That is, let me find a different color. We'll go green. A 90-degree angle is like from this, that's a 90-degree angle. That right there is considered a square. People are looking inside the circle for that symbol, and you won't find it in the middle of the circle. So there's just some fun stuff. People, just learning the astrology. There's a lot here. And again, if you do want to know where it is for you, I mean, you can book a session. However, if you want to learn, then, just get in touch and we'll talk about it. And I'll let you know when we're doing new stuff. And it'll take a few months for you to, working one-on-one or working in a beginner class with other students at your same level. It'll take a few months for you to figure out and see where these transits are happening.
And sometimes so you'll have, the day I started my astrology course when I was a grown-up, I took a free university one when I was at college, but when I went into it, looking at it again as an adult, the day we started that class was the day that Iran and Iraq went to war in the early 80s. And she put those charts out and said, look at this. This is why this is, and she stripped it down to just the real elements that meant that. So sometimes it can be a big event. I know one that fascinated me was the Ukrainians, and you don't watch news, Dorothy doesn't watch news, but the Ukrainians sunk the flagship of the Russian Navy.
Did they really?
On the day that Jupiter and Neptune were conjunct.
Oh my God, that's really appropriate.
Isn't it perfect?
It went down into the ocean. Wow.
It went down into the ocean, and it was a huge, important, grandiose motion, which is Jupiter, and it took it to the bottom of the sea. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
And I thought, boy, I've never seen one in
That
recent
was
news that was
so
like, well, quite that perfect.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, the day we went to war back in after 9/11 was on the day that I believe the sun entered Aries. It was the very first day of Aries. So first day of spring. That happens a lot.
Yeah,
The god of
Mars,
war.
when Mars went into Aries at exactly the time that on January 6th, that the crowd broke into the Congress.
Mm. Yeah. Yep.
So
I've seen things like
Aries
that.
is a little devil, I tell you. My
You
sister
know,
was an Aries and she was a little devil. So,
they can be. I have a grandson that is zero Aries. His son is zero
oh,
Aries.
gee.
I mean, God, he took over 30, 35, 38 hours to get born. And he was my daughter's second. And he took like 3 times as much as the first. And because he wanted to be an Aries, he
Uh-huh.
did not want to be a Pisces. No, no, no. And the little bugger, Aries rules the head and the face. And of course,
Mhm.
that's the way out. But his little hands were right here, which is why it took him so long. He
Oh,
just,
he got in a
he
bad
never,
posture. Right.
Yep, he was face up, and his hands were, instead of sunny, he was
Yeah.
sunny side up. All my kids came out that way too, which causes a lot more pain and slows things down. Instead of face down, he came face up, and his hands
Mhm.
were there, and it was just like, oh my God, you poor little thing. It was, yeah, poor daughter. It was a tough
Yeah.
one. And that was zero Aries in like 30 minutes. It was just, I mean, he was just minutes into Aries. And so, yeah.
Yeah.
He's a rebel. He's a rebel. He's 20 now. He's a rebel.
Okay, okay, so that's kind of like how to use your chart, but something that's going to hit all our charts, and I think everybody's feeling it, is the eclipses, which
Yeah.
are going to be in Scorpio and Taurus for the next period
18
because
months.
of where the
18
nodes are.
months. Yeah. They
Right.
usually the eclipses stay in 2 signs for approximately 6 eclipses, and it varies, but it's around 18 months. And once in a while they'll scoot into the prior sign, because the eclipses, the math of the eclipses is it's a backwards motion.
Right.
They don't go retrograde, but where the eclipses happen is in reverse. So right now, last year the eclipses were Gemini and Sagittarius. This year and half of next, they'll be in the Scorpio, Taurus, and Scorpio zodiac signs, which are directly across the chart from each other.
Mhm.
And the first eclipse is on April 30th.
Mhm.
It's at 10 degrees of Taurus and 4:28 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And so we're already in the Mercury shadow, the retrograde shadow at that point. But in the sign of Taurus, when we have new moons, it's a new moon solar eclipse. We're not going to be able to see it. It's at the bottom of the earth.
Yeah, it's going to be
So
like in Antarctica or something.
it is, right. I couldn't remember if it was Antarctica or Antarctic, whichever one is in the south.
Antarctica.
There you go. It's that one. So no one's really going to be seeing it. And so it's not an overly impressive eclipse, because it is just in an area where we can't see it, and their lineup is very minimal. So it'll be a very minimal eclipse. However, it's still an eclipse, still qualifies as an eclipse. And it's right next to Taurus. It's in Taurus, 10 degrees of Taurus. It's right next to Uranus, and Uranus is at 12 degrees of Taurus. And I can share the screen and just so people can see it, and then we'll just pop right back out. Let me go find it. Here it is. This is what it looks like just for my time zone. Again, we don't talk about the houses when we're doing this because everybody lives in a different place. But what the most important thing is that the new moon, it's a new moon eclipse. Solar is new moon. Uranus is right there with it. And that is pretty significant because the energy of Taurus is finances. What do I value? What do I think is beautiful? All these Taurusy things. What do I think is beautiful? It's Taurus rules the senses. So it's really important that we pay attention to that personally. what I taste, see, smell, all of those things. And the ruler of Taurus is Venus, and here she is hanging out with Neptune and Jupiter. So this softens the edges a little bit of what can be a bit rough with a new moon eclipse conjunct Uranus. So let's look at this. I'll just stop the share because that's enough astrology math.
Okay, can I ask, just asking for a friend?
Okay.
If your natal sun is within 2 degrees of that, how would that, what would you sort of expect to be feeling?
I can personally tell you exactly what to feel because last June 10th was an eclipse and that was my birthday. And I was like, rah, rah, rah. So if you have an eclipse, within a few days of your birthday, the year is going to be a year of significant changes. Now, I've had quite a few struggles. We won't go into that this whole year. I can't wait for my birthday so that shift can be done with. However, it helps you to grow. It helps you to mature. You will expect, depending on what house it's in and where it is for you, of course, for that area of your life to go through a shift and a change. Now, what degree is your sun, Nancy Jean? I just wonder if this is before your sun or after your sun.
My sun is actually 12 degrees of Taurus.
It is 12. So Uranus is conjunct your sun. So this new moon eclipse happens before your birthday.
Right.
So this represents a lot of internal work because it's before the same degree, the degree of your sun, but it is still very significant. The bigger piece is that Uranus is on the sun. And so the changes that you're going through, and these are personal, so I'm just going to list them. You don't have to confirm or deny anything. There's finance. It's about what we value, and it's about our finances. And when we have a new moon, that's especially a new moon that starts as an eclipse and it's in a fixed sign, that represents that there is some difficult changes because the fixed signs aren't fans of change.
Yeah,
change happens, but we're not a fan of it. And we need to work with the changes that will happen. So this new moon eclipse with Uranus on your birthday, within your birthday timeframe, there'll be some big changes for you this year. Could be one of your products just really soars and you feel very financially satisfied, and financially secure, or something in that territory, maybe a retirement thing comes in. I don't know, because I would ask you those questions if I was talking to you.
Right.
Yeah. And so that's how other people can see this too. The reason I don't know is because we have conversations and then I will know what your focus is. But the general focus is we're all looking at our money. We're all looking at what's important and what we value. Saturn is making, I showed you that square. Saturn is making a square to those eclipse points right now. And with it doing that, I think honestly that this could be the beginning of some of the inflation to finally figuring out how to stabilize all the things that are causing this up and down of prices. Can hopefully over the next 18 months, it won't take that long, but we really start to stabilize some things. And so I feel that is something there. And then you can also use the Uranus with that new moon. Lots of unexpected ways, new ways to invest. This is the first eclipse in Taurus that we've had since Uranus has been in the sign of Taurus. That was like 2018. It moved in May 2018. This is the only eclipse we'll have while it's in
the day it went in is the day I dyed my hair purple.
Oh God, good for you. I had a friend pass away on that day. It was terrible too. It was not by natural causes. And so, it was just really like shocking, shocking stuff. However, Uranus in the sign of Taurus is about, how electronic currency has been shifting. And what else am I thinking? So any of the cryptocurrencies or all of the different, I have grandsons telling me about making little images. What the heck's that called? I can't remember right now. I feel so old. I don't know. Anyways, different ways to electronically make money that you and I want to pull money out of the bank and hold it, right? But So
Well,
all of this is happening too.
I know when Uranus went in, I was reading about it back in 2018, and it said money's going to completely change. Well, I read at table and I got lots and lots and lots of cash, that was how my money came in. Well, now it's all electronic. It's all through my bank. It's through a Square. It's through I actually, I spent the last of the money I'd earned on table in 2020, in February of 2020, before I quit reading at table. I think I spent it like 3 months ago. I pulled out the last $20 bill I had, and I was like, oh my God, now, I would never go out without having folding money in my wallet.
Yeah, not now. But then there's also all these different currencies, the cryptocurrencies, and there's just so many of them. And I honestly, I can't even speak to them because I don't even know. It's not something that's in my wheelhouse. I don't really pay attention to it, but these are things that
have changed,
that are changing the way money exchanges hands, basically. And that's Uranus, which is about new energy and being innovative and feeling the sense of independence and freedom. However, still in the sign of Taurus, which is fixed earth energy, which and
we don't like to move. Taurians don't like to move. We just like stomp our little feet and say we're here.
Yeah. But you like your stuff too. And it's okay to like stuff. You like the things you like, whether it's food, whether it's like all the beautiful stones and gems and things that you have behind you, the information that you have there, or even, I know somebody who's a Taurus, and this person is quite the hoarder. I mean, doesn't get rid of anything.
You can get that. I have to really just say, no, you haven't touched this in 2 years. It can go.
Yep. And you're aware of that, and you're very much aware of that. So there is that. And then the next eclipse that we have is May 16th, because they typically come in pairs. And the one on May 16th is a lunar eclipse. Most of us will be able to see some of it if it's not cloudy, because the nighttime, the moon is up, and so we get to see that. And you can go to I can't remember where to go, but there are quite a few sites, and they will show you where the eclipse is. Usually nasa.org or .gov or things like that. But the one on May 16th, East Coast, it is at just after midnight, 12:15 on midnight. So May 15th for anybody that is west of Eastern time zone. So Central and Mountain, it's going to be on May 15th. It's at 25 degrees of Scorpio, and and Scorpio represents all kinds of other people's finances. It represents mortgage money and any money that you borrow, your credit cards, even like student loans. So I believe that, and eclipses are in play for quite a few months, for quite a long time. So I believe in this time frame, after we get to May 16th eclipse, there will be some shifts in that. I mean, the mortgages are, I think that rate is starting to climb. I think I've heard that. And so that will help hopefully stabilize the housing industry in some way, but maybe not. Time will tell. But that full moon eclipse in Scorpio represents that too, because the sun's in Taurus, money, what I value, how I earn money. And Scorpio is the money that I use, that I borrow. If I have a spouse or a partner that, we pool our money, it's that money too. So loans, taxes, things like that. So this is a big financial, over 18 months or so, because of these eclipses in the Taurus Scorpio energies, it's a big financial focus.
Okay, just asking for a friend again. What if that eclipse is on your ascendant?
Oh my God, are you kidding me? Oh my God, Nancy, Jesus Christ.
I told you, I looked at my chart, and I kind of went, this year this is going to be absolutely wonderful, marvelous year. And many things have shifted inside of me that I don't talk about. But like, I went to see my doctor, and she did the whole physical thing. And she said, it says on your chart that you had damage to your lung from pneumonia. And I said, yeah. And it was a new doctor. And she listened again, and she said, your lungs are clear.
Good.
My asthma's gone. So, nice. I mean, so as much as I gripe at these guys, apparently they're cleaning something out. So just asking for a friend.
It will heighten your sensitivities. It will help you to recognize like the people you collaborate with, since it is an opposition. It'll help you to see what that looks like to you. We had I can look on my screen here. Let me go to my software. I won't be looking at you for this minute in time. When we have an eclipse, when we have full moons, we can look at the lunar phase that it's the lunar phase that it's connected to. And that what that means is we have a new moon 9 months later at a certain number. 9 months later, there's the first quarter at the similar number. 9 months later is a full moon at the same number. And 9 months after that's the final quarter at the same number. So this eclipse that we have on May 15th/16th, actually that whole phase of that started November 15th, 2020. So you want to look back to what you may have or did begin back then.
That's when I started my YouTube channel.
I can't find my journal for that time frame. I was like, son of a bitch. Whoops, sorry. I packed things up and I threw some things out too when I was packing and moving 2 months ago. And I figured it's like, I don't want these journals anymore. I'm all set. And I thought I kept last year's, but I don't think I did. And oh, well, I guess I don't need to know, but I want you and your guests and anybody who's listening. November 15th was a new moon, not an eclipse, was a new moon at 23 degrees of Scorpio. So right in the same area. The first quarter came in on November 15th, 2021. All right. So look at what was manifesting at that point. And now on May 16th, 2022, we have the energy of this eclipse, which really highlights, we get to see what we started way back when in November 2020, what's growing, how is it growing? It will help you to decide. It's like, this just isn't working. I'm not going to do this anymore, but I am going to do this because it's focusing on the reflection, the partnership,
right?
What you're putting out, are you getting it back? So it gives you, so if that's when you started the channel, is the channel doing what you wanted it to do? And do you need to make any adjustments? You ask yourself those questions, and that's how I would use it for you. But other people, same thing and everybody. What did you start 18 months ago? Look at 9 months from 9 months ago. And now we look at now, May 15th. What's going on? How are you using it? Is it good? I mean, do you need to make more collaborations or whatever that happens to be? That's what we look at with the full moon. And again, full moons are always about relationships. What's being reflected back to us? What do I need to change? That Scorpio energy, again, is about the transformative energy of who we are, how we feel, etc.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
And we're in the middle of Mercury retrograde during that eclipse.
I know. There's some other things happening in November during Mercury retrograde. That's, this year.
Yeah, well, the retrograde. So let's shift on to that. I know there's a lot to talk about here, and I'll be doing all of these things separately when it comes to, I'm gonna get my notes on my own YouTube channel and stuff like that. I write stuff out too. So this Mercury retrograde, second one of the year, the ones this year, actually, they start in an air sign and they retrograde back to the earth sign prior. And so we're having a little mix of energy. Usually for 3 years, we'll have Mercury retrograde in the same element at the 3 different times through the year. But this year is in between because we just sort of haven't quite got to going back to all the earth energies, which is fine. The eclipses they're fixed in earth. We'll move with them. However, this eclipse it starts May 10th, right? Starts at 4 degrees of Gemini and it goes to June 3rd and it ends at 26 degrees of Taurus and then it comes back again. So, the shadow starts April 26th and the shadow ends June 18th. So it's a phase, but I want you to think about all of us here, May 10th and June 3rd. Those are the days that the planet is stationary. Give it a couple days on either side as well. Those are the days things feel really difficult, honestly. Those are the days because it's like we're driving with the emergency brake on. You know, eventually it creates a lot of smoke and then you can't stop. I've done it.
Oh.
Only once when I was a youngster and I forgot about, I had a standard and I had just, and I forgot about the emergency. I drove like half an hour and all of a sudden it's like, what is that smell?
It was my brakes.
It was my brakes. But I was in my 20s. Lesson learned. That was 40 years ago. But anyways, those days that Mercury is stationary again, and a few days on either side of May 10th and June 3rd, you know, just cut yourself some slack, give yourself some space. When Mercury retrogrades in May, it's in Gemini, its own zodiac sign. It stays at 4 degrees of Gemini for like 10 days.
Oh,
so,
really?
Yeah. And Mercury is a speed demon, right? So
yeah, that's amazing.
It is. This is a slow one. This is a slow one. One of the three every year, excuse me, lasts the longest and goes the shortest distance. And that's this one. So take your time. Forewarned is forearmed, right?
Right.
Give yourself extra time in those days around May 10th and those days around June 3rd. You really want to give yourself some time. And again, Mercury is only moving a few degrees, 8 degrees. Usually, typically it's 11 to 15. And this one, the middle one is always smaller and it's only 8 degrees. So that means we got a really hyper focus. First 4 degrees of Gemini, the last 4 degrees of Taurus. Hyper focused. So yeah, we're going to pay attention to that. And that's approximately on May 16th. That's where, you know, the sun will be. Hey, let's look at that chart. Because that's not what I want. Cancel, quit. Yeah, here it is. Yeah. So Mercury, when it retrogrades, will go all the way back to where the eclipse is, within 1 degree of the eclipse. Oh, wow. So this, yeah. So this Mercury retrograde, this is the eclipse chart for May 16th from my time frame. But Mercury retrograde here, it goes back to 26 degrees of Taurus. So really close to where the sun is eclipsing, where the earth is eclipsing the moon, right? That lunar eclipse. And so we have a lot going on here. So really, I want us to, we feel like ready, set, go, because Jupiter has only been in Aries for a few days at this point, but we really do want to take our time, give ourselves that space. So there's no misunderstandings, Mercury retrograde. And there always are. Misunderstandings happen all the time. It's not just Mercury retrograde, but it is asking us to take our time and to slow down. It wants us to, because delays will happen, and it wants us just to, you know, Mercury rules breathing and the lungs. Our time.
Breathe it in.
Yeah. If you have super important things to do in that time frame, then you're going to have to do it. Just review as much as possible. Repeat back to other people that you're communicating with. You know, it's no different than, oh, I thought we were going to meet at 10. Well, 10 my time. Well, what time do you?
Yeah. Trust me, guys.
You know that, yeah, you run into that a lot with your time zone stuff.
Yes.
I do that too. People think, like in California, that they're ahead of me, and I'm like, no, I'm ahead of you.
We have, I have a group I'm going to be meeting with. We're going to discuss ley lines, which is a whole nother kind of earth energy.
That's fun. Yeah, I love that stuff.
But one of the people's in South Africa, one's in Australia, and there's me, and then there's 3 other readers, and I'm not altogether sure where they are.
Yeah.
But I told the guy, he actually sent us one of those clocks saying, this is, you know, time it to this, because he wanted, you know, because we're not just talking in different time zones, we're talking different days.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. And I've tried to work with, I do work with people in Australia here and there. And as long as they can do it early in the morning, that's, you know, my late at night.
Yeah, I know. That's like, I'll be he said, we're going to meet at 7:30 your time, and it's 10:30 in the morning in Australia. So that's, but I don't know what's going to, the guy in South Africa said, just tell me when to be there. I'll be up.
That's true. That's true. So yeah, with this retrograde in Gemini, which is information and moving around and, the sharing of information. We really need to pay attention to who we're talking to, what they're saying. Are you hearing what they're saying? Gemini talks a lot. Gemini can gossip, be gossipy, and I'm saying that as a Gemini. I mean, I personally don't have my Mercury in Gemini, so I'm not overly gossipy, but who doesn't like to do that once in a while?
Yeah.
But if it's a dysfunction, but this is not necessarily a very well functioning Mercury in Gemini right now.
Mm-hmm.
When we get to this. So lies, lots of lies can, maybe they'll be exposed. They are constantly.
I think they are getting exposed. That's
yeah.
And since you don't watch the news, I'll tell you they are getting exposed. So.
Okay, good.
Anything too much fun, I'll let you know, Dorothy.
I appreciate that. I used to watch a little bit, but anytime I watch anything, absolutely everything seems so slanted that I don't even think I can find a neutral news source. I haven't even been able to find a neutral news source that will give me just the facts and not be totally slanted. So I don't know where I used to watch a few different things, but now it's just like, forget it. What's the point?
It's what I majored in. I majored in media. I majored in broadcast film.
Yeah.
In college. And I can tell you there's no news source. It's not going to be slanted because it's going through human mind first. Right. But some are much worse than others. Yeah. And, I just try to find the ones that don't make me nuts.
Yeah. There's a couple I like, but then I could still only listen to 2 or 3 stories because they're all talking about the same thing. And it's like,
yeah, that's true.
Give me some information that's not just this.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, yeah. So anyways, Mercury in Gemini, information being exposed, lies being exposed or being told, gossip, things like that. It's Gemini. It's casual conversation too. But then when it backs into Taurus, and again, it's not going that far into Taurus, but it's like, values and self-esteem and in Mercury, since Taurus rules the money, I mean, you still want to pay attention to financial contracts that you're getting connected into. So honestly, I really would. I mean, I'm not a scaredy cat on Mercury retrograde. However, and I don't blame it on everything, but if you have important things to do and to in that time frame, between May 10 and June 3rd, especially financially, really make sure you have a lot of eyes on that before you commit to anything, just so you know.
Okay. Well, one of the ways I found to use Mercury retrograde is it's great if you're cleaning out your closet.
That's good.
If you're starting to pitch things, because you can just pitch them. I mean, I always have a great deal more freedom about letting stuff go. And with that, because you're re-looking at it and then you get rid of it. And you don't want to go back and look at that again.
And it's words and it's editing. And if you're interested, if you or anybody who is here has, a project, like you want to launch your own YouTube channel, just hold off. If you want to launch a blog, just prep. Don't do it in that time period. Just wait. Just, if you've been holding off and you feel you're going to launch it, then just, give yourself, it's only 25 days. Give yourself a few more days and just wait until the first new moon after. When is that? Let's find that out. What's the first new moon after June 3rd? And that's when you're going to want to, look at, we have a new moon on May 30th. So it's going to be a while before we have a new moon, June 28th. But anyways, that's fine tuning things. Talk to me if you need to launch something that's electional astrology. However, just don't do it in that time frame. I mean, really, you just need to bump it out. If you're looking at, a marketing campaign, bump it out or start before. Right. And start before. We're not that far away. So, launch it now or wait until after Mercury is completed. It's reevaluation of Gemini and Taurus. And so you really do want to wait until after that, the new moon after Mercury is done its retrograde.
Right. You mentioned a word I think people should know. There is a study in astrology called electional astrology, which is where you can say, I'm going to get married and I have these choice of dates, and you can kind of look at them.
The best.
Yeah. Which is the best. And, it's just and it's like opening a marketing campaign or
Yep.
starting to create things or, all kinds of stuff. And I found electional astrology was very interesting when I learned a bit about it. And I don't think most people don't think they can use it when I start talking about that, they go, oh, that's a thing.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I love it. I use it regularly.
Mm-hmm.
I use it regularly. Like when I was moving, a lot of people who follow me knew it took me over 10 weeks to find a place to live. And I'm a renter. So that was just horrendous. I have great everything. I mean, records and credit score, blah, blah, blah. But I finally found a place and my lease was up on March 31st. And I signed a new lease a couple of days before then. For April 1st. And my landlady would not let me stay even 7 hours into April 1st. I just wanted to move on April 1st because we had the new moon at 2:24 in the morning on April 1st. And so electional astrology, it's like, I want to start a new moon in a new place. I don't want to move on the 31st. Plus my lease wasn't for the 31st. It was for April 1st. But anyways, she wouldn't let me have it. So I had to regroup, get all of the things changed. My movers, thank the gods, they were open about it. And I had to move on the balsamic moon. I had to move on March 31st on the balsamic moon, which is just about releasing and letting go. And I was like, okay, well, you know what? That's what the universe wanted. So there are times, no matter what, you still have to just do what you have to do because everything else is not letting you do what you want.
That's right.
But it's okay because this place is my solace. I've only been there a couple of weeks, obviously. It's my solace. It's private. It's great. It's everything I have not had. I even have a washer and dryer. Oh my God, I haven't had that in 20 years.
Oh my God.
I know. The simple things. Those are Taurus things. Something
I know. I've always had a washer and dryer. Once I finally got one of my own, if it was a little one, you had to roll around the kitchen to get to work and roll it up to the sink. I always had a washer and dryer.
Yep. This is my first time. Well, not my first time, but this is the first time in decades that I've actually had one in the place where I lived. And it's just like, wow. Anyways, so that's a Taurus value. I know it's personal. It's minimal to some people, but it's a big thing for me. So anyways, the electional astrology. Yeah. I tried to do it for the new moon on April 1st. However, that just didn't happen.
Well, maybe it was best to get rid of it when it was time to be done.
Yeah.
To be done.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree with that. Completely. And yep.
Okay. Is there any other big thing? I know we just had Jupiter and Neptune meeting. Do we have any other big planets that are coming to visit us in the next couple months?
That's a lot for a couple months already, what we've talked about. Yeah. So I think we're just going to leave you with
okay, that's fine.
That is huge. I mean, you know what, actually, on May, is it May 10th or May 11th is when Jupiter enters the sign of Aries. Let me get it here. Oh yeah, it's the same day Mercury goes retrograde. Yeah. That's right. I knew that. I just forgot.
So May 10th is going to be a day when a lot of stuff's moving around up there.
A lot of stuff's moving around. Yeah, Jupiter in Aries, which is, a lot of action. So we definitely need that. It will pop back into Pisces later in the year, but right now it's going to be in Aries for a few months, and that will escalate a lot of Aries things, which is it can escalate the war if they're not careful. It can escalate that. But personally, wherever you contain your 0 degrees of Aries, those are really important position in astrology. So you have to find out where the cardinal cross is in your own chart. But that's where we feel like we want to initiate the most action. Right.
That's the end of that's just the first degree of the zodiac.
0 degrees of the zodiac. So it's a cardinal point, and the cardinal points of the changes of the seasons when the sun is there. But when planets get there, other planets get there whenever they get there, and that's important. So it activates 0 Aries, 0 Cancer, 0 Libra, and 0 Capricorn. It activates all of those 0. Those are the cardinal zodiac signs. It activates that really important point. So that 0 Aries is going to be activated quite 3 times with Jupiter and it's
Going
into
over,
next
yeah.
year, going over that position 3 times. So again, May 10, and let's see if I can find when it does that again. May 10, and here we are. So it's going to be a whole week and a half in the 3rd week of October,
Mhm.
and then again right around the winter solstice. So those,
Okay.
and then we'll have the sun as Capricorn. So the sun and the Jupiter will be square at 0° cardinals. So those are important points which we can astrobabble aside. We can initiate action where we're feeling it the most.
Mhm.
Have the courage to step into something that maybe we've been lacking for a while.
Mhm. Yep.
Because we've had very few planets in fire signs right now. The sun just went through Aries, so that was initiated a lot of action. However, there are no other planets in fire signs for quite some time. So we have a lot of earth and a lot of water, and that's just, earth and water make mud.
Mhm.
However, they're also the yin energies, and they're the feminine, they're the receptive. So we're able to receive a lot of information. So as soon as Jupiter gets into Aries, that's the next fiery energy.
It sparks it off again.
It will spark it off again. Aside from the moon is there every once a week. It's in a fire sign, but that's too quick. That's so quick. So yeah, we're feeling like we're stuck. We're feeling like not a lot of things are shifting. However, these eclipses will push things forward. The Mercury retrograde this in the spring here will slow us down again. And then, but simultaneously, Jupiter and Aries will feel like we need to push.
So if you're feeling conflicted, we have now told you every planet.
We are. Now we know why.
Now you know why. I mean, and I want to thank Dorothy for coming over and discussing astrology with us again and kind of checking us up on where we're going.
It's always a blast. I love talking about astrology.
I know. And we really enjoyed having you here. And I will put below in the notes how you can get in touch with Dorothy. And I can tell you, when I need to go ask somebody something, this is where I go. So
appreciate that.
And I will see you later. Bye. Have a good time in New Hampshire.